Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Now, let's get these dice out of here so that we can get to the whole point of the video. So I want to talk about the dice substitutions in Dungeon Crawl Classics. Now, obviously, if you don't have the D3 and the D5 and the D7 and the D14 and the D16 and the D24 and the D30, you need to substitute them in some way. You can go to a random number generator online. That's what I did when I was making those characters. Or DCC provides these substitutions. Roll a D6, divide by 2, roll a D5, divide by, or roll a D10 and divide by 2, roll a D8 and then just re-roll the 8s, roll a D20 and re-roll all of the numbers that are bigger than 14, roll a D20, re-roll all the numbers bigger than 16. Here, these two are genius, okay? Roll a D12 and a D6. If the D6 is odd, you add 12. Why is that genius? Because it takes all of the facings of a D12 and it assigns them two values. The first one is its face value, and the second is the odd value where it's plus 12, right? On the D30, for a D10, or we roll a D10 and a D6. If the D6 is 1 or 2, we add nothing. If the D6 is 3 or 4, we add 10. If the D6 is 5 or 6, we add 20. This is genius design. I love this, all right? And I wanted to see, I've been thinking about, before I read this section of Dungeon Crawl Classics on dice substitutions, I was thinking about how would I do dice substitutions, and I came up with some ideas, so let's talk about them. First, obviously, for D4, you just roll a D4, D6, so on. For the D7, I think rolling a D8 and just re-rolling 8s is fine. I haven't come up with a solid method in my mind to substitute this one. I'm still working on it. I have some substitutions for D14 and D16 and D3 and D5, right? But I think D7 for now is fine. Let me talk about the other ones. So, first of all, let's talk about the issue that I have with rolling a D6 and dividing by 2. You end up with this, right? 1 and 2 is a 1, 3 and 4 is a 2, 5 and 6 is a 3. I just don't like those numbers, right? It's fine, right? Obviously, the reason I say this is because when we divide 1 by 2, we get 1 half, so we just round up to 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and so on, okay? So this is what we end up with. My solution, okay, is this. Roll a D6 mod 3. If the D6 mod 3 equals 0 plus 3. What does mod 3 even mean? All right, let's talk about that. Let's get a pencil. Okay, so mod is modular arithmetic. So a D6 mod 3. What does mod 3 mean? It means whatever number we get divided by 3. Okay, so why is 1 divided by 3 1? Here's why. Let's come over here. 1 divided by 3. How many times, let me get a line there. How many times can you divide 1 by 3? 0. And what is our remainder? Our remainder is 1. So that's why 1 mod 3 is equal to 1. Now let's look at 2 mod 3. Well, we have 0 and a remainder of 2, and so on. And we just keep going down that list. Now let's look at 3 and 6. 3 mod 3, we get 1, and our remainder is 0. All right? Now we've encountered a problem because 0 is not a value that we want, so we just add this little stipulation. If D6 mod 3 is equal to 0, we add 3. Let's look at 6 mod 3. We end up with 2 with a remainder of 0. Once again, we have the 0, so we add 3. All right, I think this is a fine solution. I don't think it's any more complex than just dividing by 2, right? And the bonus, in my mind, is that 1, 2, and 3, when you roll 1, 2, and 3, you get 1, 2, and 3, right? You only have to worry if it's 4, 5, or 6, all right? And I've applied the same logic to the D10 for the D5, right? Roll a D10 mod 5. If D10 mod 5 equals 0, add 5, right? I think it's a simple, elegant solution. And because I'm a math teacher, of course, I'm going to introduce some complex mathematics. But that's Modular arithmetic is not very complicated. You are just looking for the remainder after you divide by whatever number follows the mod, right? So I think that works out. Now, let's talk about the D14 and the D16. Like I said, I think the D24 and the D30, that design is genius because you're just creating Schrodinger cells, right? Schrodinger numbers where it's either this or this depending on this other die, the D6. So let's apply that same logic to the D14. We just take the last two numbers on the D12 and we say, okay, we're going to roll a D12 and a D6. If the D12 is equal to 11 and 12 and the D6 is odd, we add 2. All right? So the first 10 numbers, we don't have to worry about it. It's just the first 10. It's only when it's 11 or 12 that we have to worry about adding 2. This is just taking that D24, D30 design substitution they have, and it's applying it to the D14, right? And we're just using the D12 because it's right there. If we had a D7, and for some reason we didn't have a D14, we would just roll a D7 and a D6. If the D6 is odd, add 7, right? So this is, I think, a pretty good substitution for the D14. Now let's look at the D16. The D16, we have, this is supposed to be a 16, not 61. All right, we have a D8, and 8 times 2 is 16, so we can use the exact same formula that they use for the D24. We can use that for the D16. We just roll a D8 and a D6. If the D6 is odd, we add 8, right? And this is not complex mathematics, okay? We all should be able to add 8 to any of the numbers lower than 8, right? It should, and of course, the more we do this, the more it's going to become second nature, okay? And so I think this is a good substitution for the D16. But, of course, you know, it's not my game, so maybe this is a horrible idea. I have not play tested this at all. I literally just came up with this. I just took this design and I expanded it out, okay? It may be a horrible, horrible mistake to try and do this. I'm willing to try it, and please, you can also try it as well. Let me know what you think in the comments. And even if you don't try it, let me know what you think in the comments below. And I will, if people want to see it, I will, after I have purchased the Dungeon Crawl Classics 7, right, the funky dice that they have, after I've purchased those, I will pit the D14 against my substitution. I'll pit the D16 against my substitution, right? It should not be unfair, right? It shouldn't be unbalanced. Assuming we have fair dice to begin with, we should get a fairly even distribution of numbers, all right? So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Don't forget there is a survey for if we get to 500 subscribers. I'll do a live stream rolling dice, and I want to know what kind of dice you would like me to roll. I will see you all in the next video, and have a good day. Happy Valentine's again.